With the new year already here, you might be thinking of starting a reading plan or a yearly goal to finish a certain number of books to read by the end of this year. After all, it seems all the famously successful individuals like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates have a habit of reading a lot. But simply making a goal to read a lot might not be such a great strategy, as you might have already experienced in your previous failures of meeting your reading goals that fizzled out over time. This is simply because, over the long run, people naturally don't want to keep doing something when they are forced to do it, and especially so when the experience isn't enjoyable. So, how can you meet your reading goals? Unless you enjoy the process of reading, you won't be able to meet your goals by the end of the year. Or if you do end up forcing yourself to read hard books that you are not ready for, you won't get the full value out of the reading experience. So, the solution to this common issue is not to set a goal to read a specific number of books or set a specific amount of time to read every day. But you should try to make the goal of going to the library, or if you can afford it, the bookstore, once a week and making a goal to find the book that piques your interest. And these days, you can even borrow books online through websites like archive.org so that you can borrow books in the comfort of your home. And the process of choosing a book is important as well, because if you pick a book that is too hard for you to read, you won't be able to absorb all the information that the author is trying to tell. So pick books that you will be able to read without having to look up the dictionary for every other word that you read. And pick books that looks interesting to you and not the ones that your aunt with a PhD recommended. Reading is only effective and enjoyable when you are able to fully absorb the information and message provided by the author, and you're able to digest that information and make it your own. Similar to how you wouldn't feed a baby with no teeth very hard foods to eat, you should start off with reading books that are on or below your reading level. And you can know if a book is on your current reading level by reading the first 30 pages of the book. If you are struggling to read the first 30 pages, it's probably not the right book for you. If that's the case, then just move on to the next one. And once you find the book that's right for you, then you will be on your way to start your reading journey. And there are some good things to keep in mind when you start your reading. The first thing is to make sure that you're fully understanding what the author is saying. Don't be afraid to think through something that you don't fully understand, just for the sake of continuing to read. Reading is the process of understanding the author's ideas and digesting it into your own thoughts. Let's say you're reading a novel and one of the characters does something that you personally would never do. Take the time to think about what motivated the character to make the choices that he or she made from the information provided by the book, and don't just skip over these questions that come up as you read. By doing this, when you read even just a simple bedtime story, your thoughts will become much deeper and your ability to think deeply through these questions will become much better over time. Once you feel comfortable questioning why characters behave the way they do, you should try to understand the author's intentions. Because authors are very intentional on even the smallest details. Your reading ability to understand and catch these details will go up significantly as you read more, and the experience will become more enjoyable as you become better at this skill. And there are some things that you should try to avoid. One of the things that you should not be worried about is when you find yourself reading the same genre of books. We have this sense that we should be trying out as many types of books to become better readers and to broaden our views. But as mentioned earlier, there is no point in reading if you're forcing yourself to do it, and you won't be able to keep reading if you don't enjoy it. So, as long as you're going through the exercise of finding books that are interesting to you, don't worry about the variety and genre and keep reading what feels right for you. Over time, once you get better and better at reading, you will naturally want to explore other types of books. And don't be afraid to reread the same book again. I'm sure there have been times in your life when you watched a movie, but you feel like you weren't able to absorb everything that was hidden in the movie, so you decide to watch it and it feels like a different experience. Similarly, by rereading the same book, you're able to absorb different pieces of information and feelings each time. So don't be afraid to reread a book that you really enjoyed. And don't be pressured to read a lot of books. Think quality over quantity when it comes to reading. If you're just starting out reading for fun, you will get fatigued much faster than someone who has been consistently reading for their whole life. And this is normal because your vocabulary and language ability isn't on the same level as them, but you will get there one day eventually. One of the pitfalls is setting unrealistic goals to read and getting tired of reading. If you set a goal to read for an hour, but your current attention span allows you to focus only for 30 minutes, you will not be absorbing all that the book has to offer, and you may find that you need to go back and read the same pages again the next day. As you continue to read books that are right for you, your attention span as well as your reading ability will become much stronger and you will be able to read for longer durations of time. Another thing that I recommend avoiding is listening only to audiobooks. Feel free to use ebooks or physical books, but listening to audiobooks are different than reading. You may think that listening to someone read a book out loud to you will have the same effect as reading, but this is actually not the case. By reading on your own, you can take the time to pause and reflect through information or concepts that are introduced to you. But by only listening, the pace is on whoever is reading the book to you. Now, I'm not saying that audiobooks are bad, they're just different, and your reading ability probably won't improve as much if you are only listening to audiobooks. That's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please hit the subscribe button with the bell notification icon turned on, and I will see you guys in the next one.